Welcome to another episode of the Balancing Act podcast with Singer Liwak, where we discuss the complexities of business, finance, and industry insights. Today, we're exploring the topic of government contracting, a sector filled with unique challenges and opportunities. Our guests are Andrea Roschke, partner in Singer Liwak's Business Solutions Group, and Bill Foster, the Director of Contracts at the DCMA and President of the NCMA San Fernando Valley Chapter. Together, they bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to help us understand why businesses should consider government contracts and how to navigate this complex landscape successfully.
Hi, I'm Andrea Roschke. I'm a partner with Singer Liwak in the Business Solutions Group, and we are so honored and pleased to have with us today Bill Foster. So thank you for joining us today, Bill.
Andrea, thanks for having me.
And I think it's amazing that you've seen just about everything, I'm thinking, from every side, because you've been internal with the government, currently working as an employee for the government, and also from the contractor side and former military as well. So I think it's a very unique perspective. I think there are a lot of benefits to doing business with the government and funding research and development and maybe.
But again, the government is in the business of helping businesses succeed. So if you're a small business that really, is going to enter into a fairly substantial contract effort and you need government financing, progress payments or performance-based payments often will be a good avenue. And that's something that, you explain to the government and the government then will consider and see if that's something that they want to include in the contract. It will give the contracts community an opportunity to say, hey, we've got a pretty large pool of small businesses who are going to be out spending a lot of capital on raw materials to produce this particular product. I think we need to extend to them a mechanism for cash flow.
Yeah, that's great because they're like financing the raw materials. So it's great.
Exactly.
For the small business that maybe doesn't have other financing options. The first question I wanted to ask you and what your thoughts about is, why would someone want to do business with the government? What would be the attraction there?
Government contracts often provide a significant source of revenue and bring stability to what I would consider sometimes less stable commercial business markets. The government is out to promote and build a incredibly strong economic and industrial base, and it's important that the motivations for the government are a little bit different than sometimes industry because our stakeholder base is a lot different.
I have a lot of clients that are small business owners, and if they wanted to get started with government contracting, like they don't know how. The first step is, what do they need to do to get started to look for government contracts, first of all, but also to build the foundation that you need to be able to qualify to do business with the government?
There are some, typical readiness factors that would be the very bare basic starting point for most businesses. What correlation to your product or services that would fit into what the government's looking to buy. Looking at realistic goals for your company. What's your expansion methods? What do you want to try to do? And then as you start getting into looking at requirements, what kind of capacity do you have? And do you have a workforce and a management structure that's committed to fulfilling what the government needs you to do? Right. So the System of Acquisition Management, SAM.gov, is kind of the one-stop starting point for anybody that wants to get into and learn more about doing business with the government. There's training materials and tutorials and things on there that will allow businesses to learn a little bit more about what it takes to do business with the government. There's definitely a little bit of a qualification coming out of the chute for a company, the way to establish yourself as a business are in there. If you're absolutely brand new, if you're a commercial business that's thinking about dabbling into the government contract business, then you'll have the opportunity to perhaps tweak a few of the things that you're currently doing in your commercial business that would accommodate what the government needs, specific requirements.
Like what a prime versus a subcontractor is.
Essentially, prime contractors have the responsibility for the entire contract project or service, whatever it is that you're contracting with the government to do. Subcontractors generally will only be responsible for a portion of it.
Anything in particular that you would like to recommend for people listening that would think about going into government contracting?
The federal acquisition regulation has a lot of nuance to it, and understanding that contract compliance piece is really, really important because that's how you get it upside down on a contract with the government, especially if you're new to government contracting.
And do you get that put on the naughty list? Is there a...
Well, it certainly it puts you in a real predicament because, like I said, if you get to 100% spent on what you're able to receive on a contract, and you're only 80% complete, the tendency sometimes is, well, what corners can we cut? What can we do? And then you start going down paths of non-compliance with government standards. Things like labor standards, or perhaps even buying raw materials from a foreign versus domestic source that's outlined in the acquisition regulation. Putting certain protective pieces in for critical technology with hardware, data, or protecting property, equipment, cybersecurity, maybe not following your plan for socioeconomic extension to your community. Those are all compliance type things, that we need to just be aware of and make sure we're not cutting corners on. So that's why it's so critically important that when you propose and decide, yes, I'm going to do business with the government, that you read every line, read the clauses, know what they mean, and know what that means to the product or service that you're providing.
The FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulations, and that's what you have to be familiar with to do business with the government, because it all kinds of FAR. What am I saying? The FAR provisions, right, are in the contract. So sometimes they're just by number. So you have to kind of know what they are or be familiar with what you're agreeing to in the contract. I mean, there's a lot of retired DCAA, a lot, which is the Defense Contract Audit Agency, and they come in and do pre-award audits and cost claim audits, and sometimes even voucher audits. We know some attorneys who are familiar with the government contracting, and really just get help. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know who to ask.
And that's something that you explain to the government, and the government then.
I mean, I joined the NCMA, for networking and to kind of meet other contract professionals and try and learn more about businesses and the struggles. And I really enjoy the learning aspect of it, where, we get members together, and, some are contractors, some are government officials, and some are students. And we just learn a lot from each other and solve problems, and, talk about issues that are facing the contractors. And, and they have a great education program also, by the way. There's a whole certification process that Bill talked about. And then other courses like CPE courses they offer. In the accounting side, there's a lot of courses that I send staff to learn about the government contract accounting aspect and what needs to be done from a business standpoint. So I think it's a great organization. And like I said, you and I never would have met if we didn't both join the NCMA.
No, it's definitely the networking piece. Let me just talk just one second to that, because the networking piece is so critical to the NCMA organization, and I will tell you, it's also incredibly beneficial to businesses to send their acquisition, supply chain, contract management folks, and have them involved, because not just for the networking piece, but just the learning what fellow industry partners are doing in whatever federal or commercial sector that you're in. It's that forum that networking that just allows that to happen. And
Any closing remarks about what our listeners should do if they would like to go into the government, or anything else you'd like to say?
No, Andrea, I appreciate you and the company putting this together today, and having an opportunity to kind of scratch the surface on some really important topics. I think we could probably do an entire podcast on each one of these questions that you kind of pose. So I know we did kind of a high level look at some of these things, but I guess I would say to anyone that does listen to this and wants to get more information, would love to see them at our NCMA events, and once you get plugged in, if it has to do with resources or contract compliance or getting started with the government, or whatever it is, you can shoot those questions and be ready to dialogue on them for an hour and a half at our workshops. And
it's just amazing, really, to have access, right, to people like Bill, like yourself, who have been a contracts professional your whole career, and you've seen just about everything under the sun, like I said, from all different sides, the commercial side to the military to the defense side. So to have a conversation with someone who's got that much experience and wealth of knowledge is just you can't put a value on that. So I really appreciate getting to know you and having you join us at the NCMA, and also in our little podcast today.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you. Appreciate being here.
And don't be afraid of doing business with the government, even though there's lots of acronyms, lots of forms, and some audits going on. There's still a lot of good. There's a good side to doing business with the government. So we're here to help you, and the NCMA is here to help you, and even the government. They'll come in and help you if you need it. There's a lot of resources available to contractors, and they want to help businesses succeed.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Balancing Act podcast with Singer Liwak. We hope you found our discussion on government contracts insightful and valuable. Remember, whether you're a small business looking to stabilize your revenue streams or a larger company aiming to expand your horizons, government contracts offers significant opportunities. Join us for our webinar on June 19th, aimed at businesses interested in starting government contracting. The registration link can be found in the podcast description. We hope to see you there.